You're either feeling, I have so much to say, but I have no idea where to even start. Or I've been telling them my story, but somehow it just doesn't come out as meaningful or as deep as it is in my head. And I just don't know what's wrong. Is it structure? Is it framework? And why do they not remember me? Why don't I see myself winning? If you're in the same boat and have similar challenges when it comes to your pageant interview prep, you've come to the right place. So let's dive straight in. Welcome back to the Conquer podcast, and today I'm going to be telling you advanced storytelling techniques that I teach my clients inside my high-level coaching programs. These storytelling techniques are going to distinguish you and take you from top 10 to top 3 and even help you win the crown, because that's the difference. It's not the information that's different. It's not that the contestant has had a better or a more interesting life. It's that she simply knows how to market herself and position herself as an interesting, transformational, and good for business candidate. Because when you know how to tell your story right, you also make better headlines. You're going to be good at media interviews. You're going to be interesting when press and journalists asks you questions. And I want a title holder who knows how to make headlines. When it comes to your pageant interview, before we even look at certain frameworks, tips, and tools that I share inside my program, you have to know about this framework called the hero's journey. What is the hero's journey? If you've watched movies like the Harry Potter series, or if you're a big fan of the DC and Marvel comics and the movies that are made based on them, if you notice, there is a main character and the entire story revolves around that character. Now, that is the hero, in your case, heroine. And what the hero has gone through is there was a big challenge, which was the main obstacle or the setback, which makes this story interesting. What is important, however, and this is what's impressive, it's not that, oh my God, he had a sad life or she struggled so much. That doesn't make you interesting. But it's the action that the hero takes to overcome that challenge. And throughout the story, we move through the action and move on to the result part of the story. Pretty simple, straightforward structure. You want to look at challenge, action, and result. And that's the sequence of a hero's journey framework. Let's say if a pageant contestant is talking about mental health, saying that I stand for mental health, or I'm a mental health advocate and I believe this is why mental health is important, because so many teenagers and people are going through anxiety or depression or substance abuse. And now the reason I chose mental health as an example topic is this is a very common topic that comes up in pageant interview conversations. So many women have had mental health struggles. However, speaking about mental health can be a dicey situation. The reason being, the part of the story that you focus on can make or break your pageant result. Because while you are speaking about mental health challenges that you've gone through, if the judges or the organization feels that she's someone who's probably not ready or not prepared, won't be able to take on this stressful job position because of her mental health struggles, you've kind of put an axe in your own foot just because you chose to talk about mental health. Or also maybe you've positioned yourself as someone who's weak or needs more time or is still stuck in the past. And so many stories tend to focus on the challenge and less on the action and the result, that it takes away from what the story was originally supposed to be. Now, if you look at the challenge, action, result framework and you want to use the hero's journey, you want to talk about and start with your personal narrative. What that does is it helps you basically not feel like you're drowning in an ocean. You have no idea how to get started. What do I answer? And in situations like that, it's always best to, as soon as you hear the question, you want to instantly link it to a personal story. In the case of mental health, instead of saying I am an advocate for mental health and this is my platform and I want to raise awareness, you want to start by saying, let's say, a personal story. And I'm going to, let's make one on the spot. You can say, 5 years ago, I was struggling silently on the inside, all by myself, with mental health issues. I didn't ask for help at first. However, blank was my wake-up call. And that's when I took my mental health into my own hands, stopped chasing external validation, and dash. let's say whatever your story is. Now, so far, you've only briefly touched upon the challenge, and that's important because you don't want to bore an audience or judges by dwelling on the sad or the negative or things that basically you wouldn't be mentioning or talking about in a job interview. That portion of the story, I don't need to know exactly why you were struggling, what happened, how bad was it. Save those conversations for a separate forum and a platform. Perhaps if the theme is mental health and you're not in a job interview, that's when you can talk about those things. And a lot of people, they want to talk about all of these important things. And I always advise my clients that you want to change the system, you want to talk about things, you want to reveal this side of you. But if talking about something is going to lower your odds of winning the competition, then that's not that that's not a good cause, or not that that's something you shouldn't talk about, but maybe you just have to choose the right time and place. And that is why sometimes we have like celebrities and big influential people, they're always talking about things that they've gone through, but perhaps they're talking about it a decade later because now they have the stability. Now they have the position that even if they talk about it, it's not going to affect their career. It's not going to affect the kind of job opportunities they're going to get. And so you have to keep those things in mind, and which is why we focus or don't elaborate as much on the challenge part of the story. You want to focus on the fact that you're an action taker, the fact that maybe you didn't take help at first, but what was your wake-up call? What was your turning point? That's what I'm interested in. And then you finish it with the result or the responsibility. The R can also stand for responsibility. And you can go on to talk about your platform or your responsibilities that you now have. And now my mission is to help other young women, blah, 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 whatever your platform is. And now whether you're helping them with emotional healing, generational healing, is it through nutrition? Is it through mental health workshops? Is it through art and movement? And that's what is going to make your platform unique, because there are so many ways of working towards a mental health platform. But what is going to make it unique? And the reason I'm talking about this is because I get this question so often, like, hey, can I use mental health as my platform? There's no right answer to that. It really depends, right? Yes, you can, but is it a personal experience enough, or is it just because, you were bullied and that's why you want to make it your mental health platform? And I had this group of contestants that I was working with. Now, one specific contestant has a mental health nonprofit, has gone through an extremely traumatic childhood experience. She has firsthand witnessed things that a child should not. Now, for her, it makes sense to talk about mental health. But if you're just talking about it because you were bullied, which by the way is also a really common thing, and you're talking about depression when you weren't ever clinically diagnosed with depression, makes no sense. And so obviously the story with the challenge and the action and the result is not going to sound as impactful because the challenge simply wasn't big enough. And that's what the hero's journey is all about. Now, having structure such as the CAR framework is simply not enough. Advanced storytelling, the one that really makes you memorable, is visual storytelling. Now that means you have to show and not tell. So if you were to apply this technique and refine the answer that I just made up, instead of saying 5 years ago, I would want the judges to imagine really like, where was she 5 years ago? So 5 years ago when I was living in so-and-so city all by myself, or 5 years ago when I was a freshman in university studying ABC. So what you're doing is, this is how you're doing visual storytelling. You're showing them, because when you use these words, the judges can place you. And that is why you need their imagination to be able to paint a picture and place you in a timeline, which is whenever you're telling your story, I always tell my clients, tell me when this happened. How old were you? Because you're telling me the story, but somehow I'm trying to imagine it, and I don't even know if she's 16 or 18 or 25. And if I don't know that, I don't know what to think. That's not really a story unless I know how old you were, where you were, what part of your life were you in when this was happening. And that's something that most contestants do. They talk about their opinions, but I don't know where that opinion comes from. If you're going to tell me about a law that you want to change, a tradition that needs to evolve now with time, if this is the message that you would give to someone who's facing domestic violence, or this is your stance on artificial intelligence, you can answer all of these questions in general by just answering the question, but that's not what a winning answer is. A winning answer would take you into a part of her life story. She would say, as a lawyer in the industry and having worked with so-and-so clients, or as someone who has worked in the space research organization. When you're saying things like this, what's happening is I can place you there, and then I have your perspective. I understand where you're coming from. And that's what I mean when I say, show me, don't tell me. And the third thing that you have to remember, you have to practice doing the storytelling with the right emotion in your voice. And for this, you want to sit in front of a camera and record yourself telling the story. And something that I have shared inside my coaching community is that whenever we're looking at a contestant's video, whenever I want to give them feedback, I'll once look at the video with the video and audio both. Secondly, I'll mute the video and then I'll look at the video. And so this time we focus more on their hand gestures, their facial expressions, see if she looks excited and enthusiastic, passionate about the story that she's telling. And then the third round of feedback is we turn off the video and we just listen to the audio. If it's monotonous, if it sounds dull and robotic, but not like you're actually going in the past and reliving that memory, if that made you really sad, if I don't sense the emotion sadness in your voice, the story just doesn't land the same. And so you have to have these emotions of sadness and euphoria and nostalgia. And if it took all of your strength, you want that voice modulation inside your voice while telling a story. And those are your 3 techniques and tips for advanced storytelling, because this is what, if practiced right and enough, can captivate any judge, any audience member, and storytelling is going to take you places in almost every industry in life. If you watched the video so far and you're still thinking, but I don't know where to even start, I don't even know what my story is, don't worry. That's literally what I help my clients with inside my high-level coaching program, the Conquer Interview System, where we take your story and tell it in a way that is strategic, aligned with your platform, and is meant to take you till the top of the pageant system. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description and join the waitlist. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please do consider giving it a big thumbs up and hitting the subscribe button if you're enjoying watching this series on the Conquer podcast. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you very soon next week. Bye.